Hey guys, welcome back on my channel. My name is Chris and today I'm going to do my August wrap up. In August I actually managed to read 11 books. Can you believe it? I most certainly can't. So let's just jump right into it. The first book I read was We Are All Made of Stars by Rowan Coleman. This is the only book I didn't manage to read during my reading rush. And I just promised myself that I would do it as soon as possible. So I picked this up right after. And it's just such a beautiful story. When you're reading the synopsis, you actually think it's only about two people. About a veteran who has come home from war with one leg short and who is trying to deal with his PTSD on his own, but as you may or may not know, that's not really possible. So he pushes everyone away, and especially his wife, who's a nurse and who traded her shifts with someone else, so she had the night shifts where her husband is the most distant and practically is running away from home every night to the hospice she's working in order to do the night shift. And there's the story about these two, what they're going through, and then there's a story about a girl that is actually leaving the hospice that is suffering from CF. Then there is a woman, an elderly woman that is actually about to die, and some other people, and it's just a very great story, and it shows how people are connected in so many different ways, even if they do not expect it. And it's just a very beautiful story. If you're looking for something like that and you can handle that it's not very light-hearted, I definitely recommend this, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was actually an audiobook, kinda. I listened to it. And that was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. And this one was a reread for me actually, because I wanted to start reading the whole series. But in order to do that, I wanted to reread Red Queen because I forgot some stuff. So I did that. And I gave Red Queen 4 out of 5 stars. This story is about a girl named Mare, and she lives in a world where the color of your blood determines everything. The silver-blooded people have abilities and the red don't. So there's actually like a higher class out of silvers with all their abilities, and there are the lower class people, and there are all the people with red blood. But by mistake and just really just, I guess, destiny, Mare discovers that she actually has abilities like a silver, and she discovers that in practically the courtyard of the king and queen, and it's very open, so they are trying to hide the truth that there is a red girl with silver abilities. And she has to figure out what's going on with her, the politics in this kingdom she's living in, that they are very complicated, more than she ever thought. And yeah, it's just a story about self-discovery and all that stuff, and it's really, really good. So yeah, that one. Next book I read was White Hot Kiss by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I do not have a physical copy of this because my mom actually lent me this book. So there you go. I gave that book 4 out of 5 stars, and it's about a girl that is half gargoyle and half demon. She's living with the guardians and they are gargoyles. And they are trying to protect the human race from the demons, and that nobody can know about the gargoyles or the demon. And she just tries to navigate through her world, and one day suddenly there's a high demon and he tries to protect her, but she doesn't believe him at first. And it's just about them trying to connect or not, and she's also in love with one of the guardians back at her home. So it's a very complicated, if you're like, love triangle, there you go. And yeah, it's a really beautiful story. It's fantasy, obviously. And if you're looking for something like lighthearted and fluffy, that's definitely the book for you. The next book I read was also an audiobook I did, and that was the second book of the Red Queen series, and that is Glassword, also by Victoria Aveyard. And I would tell you what this is about, but I can't without spoiling. Very good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, so yeah. Okay. The next book I read was actually a manga, and that is Vampire Knight Volume 1 by Matsuri Hino. I always stumble over that name. So yeah, I actually never read a manga, so I thought I'd just give it a try because I watched a series of this one on YouTube quite some time ago, and it's practically about a school. And there's a day and a night class. The day class is just human people, and the night class are vampires. And the main character in this one just has the job in this one is actually to make sure that the day class does not find out that the night class are actually a lot of vampires. So yeah, I gave this 3 stars because I thought it was, cute, and it was exactly like the series, or the other way around. I don't know what came first, so yeah. But I don't think that I will continue reading this, but it was a fun experiment. The next book I read, DNF'd, I don't have a physical copy of. Also, that was also a book my mom lent me, and that's Survival Game. Survival Game by Nikki Singer. And I gave it 100 pages, like I give all my books. But I was on page 100 and nothing really happened up till then. And the storyline was very flat. The writing style was not my cup of tea at all. And I can't really tell you what it's about because I practically tried to forget everything about that book. So yeah, there you go. Next book I read in the month of August was actually also an audiobook, and it was Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare, and of course I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing, and I can't tell you what it's about without spoiling you, so I'm telling you what Lady Midnight is about, I guess. Lady Midnight picks up a few years after the Mongol Instruments, and it's about Emma and Julian and the people at the LA Institute, and it's a very beautiful story, and I think it's one of the best work, the most sophisticated work Cassandra Clare has done up to now. And I really love the dark artifices. The writing style is so good. She got so much better. I already loved the Mongol Instruments and the other books, but this is really high-end. I love it. And the next book I read in the month of August was the 5th installment in the Shadow Me series, and that's Defy Me by Tahereh Mafi. She starts off captured, more or less, in an asylum, and after some time Warner gets her out of there and kinda is just very interested in her and her abilities and just kinda wants to study her. So yeah, that's fun. And in the first book she meets Adam, who's trying to help her and who actually is immune against her touch. So there's that. And yeah, this book, the 5th book, was so amazing and mind-blowing, and I really need the last book in the series. I mean, come on, to her, what are you doing to us? You can't just leave it there. I mean, the ending was not that much of a cliffhanger like the ending of Restore Me. It was a very beautiful ending, but still, I want to know what will happen in the next book. So, come on. I mean, it's a 4-star read. So, 4 stars. The next book I read in the month of August was actually Vicious Cycle by Linda Robertson. And I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. This is a story about a world where witches, werewolves, and fae are living openly amongst the humans. But it's not, as you know, it's never that easy. It's never just easy with humans and discovering that they are sharing the world with other kind of creatures. That's just, you know how that goes. Anyway, we are following a witch called Persephone, and one day a good friend of her dies, and she was aware, and she was actually a wolf, and she's leaving behind a little girl. And after that happened, the next morning, someone calls her and wants to hire her to kill the murderer of her friend. And she first resists because she does not want to be a killer. But then she thinks about the daughter of her friend, and she's just, okay, I'm gonna do it. But as it is, it's never that easy. So she's running into a lot of trouble, but she has help from a few of her wolf friends, and it's just a very great story. Believe me, it's magic, it's transformation, it's hunting, it's amazing. Go give this a read. I mean, really, this is actually the German edition. So anyway, the next book I read in the month of August was also an audiobook. The last two books are both audiobooks, so. And that was Passenger 23 by Sebastian Fitzek. I'm actually not the biggest fan of Fitzek because I read one book and I loved it, and I read one book and I hated it. There's no, there's just black and white with him, and there's no gray area. At least I thought so, until I listened to Passenger 23. It was my Audible welcome gift, so I didn't pay for it. Otherwise, I would have never picked it up if it wasn't a gift. But yeah, and that book is about a cop who is more or less ordered on a ship where a few years ago, his wife and son died. And back in the day, they thought it was a suicide, that the mother killed the kid, and after that, herself. And he's just lured onto that ship by someone telling him that it happened again to another girl and a woman, that they disappeared, and people thought they were gone or killed or whatever. Nobody knew. But after 8 weeks, the girl actually resurfaces, and he's supposed to find out where she was, what happened to her, and all that jazz. And that audiobook has actually a full cast, at least in German, and it was just a really interesting experience, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And yeah, it really was something, and I love that it was on a ship. That was just so interesting to see how that works, more or less, and just the contained area, really, where you only have this humongous ship for people that are traveling on vacation and nothing else. You're on that ship, no matter what happens, you can't just leave, you have to stay there. So that was really interesting to me. And the last audiobook I did in the month of August was actually Again But Better. Can you believe it? And I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5 because it was just so amazing. I actually finished it yesterday and I listened to it on a normal speed. I normally don't do that. I speed it up always, but with that audiobook I didn't want to miss anything. And I actually listened to it for 11 hours and 11 minutes, more or less straight. I did it in 2 sittings and it was so good. Really, it hit me in so many places and it was just an emotional roller coaster, but it was a good one and it inspired me in so many ways. And I'm kind of speechless because I'm just blown away. I never thought about that it would be so good. But yeah, if you don't know, Again But Better by Christine Riccio is about a girl called Shane, and she is trying to do college again but better, and in order to do that she's going abroad to London, and it's just an amazing ride and I really highly recommend it. And it's just really, really amazing. I never expected it to be that good, but it was. So, and I will definitely do an in-depth review about that because it's just something I really want to do. As you may or may not know, Christine is a booktuber, a very popular booktuber. I will link her channel down below, definitely, so you can just check her out. So that's it from me for today. My name is Chris and I post videos frequently on this channel every Tuesday and Friday. If you want to see more bookish content, hit the subscribe button, and if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Goodbye! Oh damn. Anyway, we are following a witch called Persephone. We are following a witch called Persephone. We are following a witch called Persephone. We are following a witch called Persephone, and one day